Hey everybody, thanks for dialing into my Facebook page. I'm here with one of my closest friends, Chris Dunlap. We're in Lampasas, Texas. This live video is all about the annual Amputee Archery Grant Initiative, the 501c3 nonprofit that I started 3 years ago. And Chris is one of my board members. He's the annual hunt coordinator for the grant. And this is pretty exciting because over 3 years, the grant has grown. I think the correct word, Chris, would be exponentially.
It's tripled from the first year, I would say.
Yeah, in 3 years, it's tripled. So lucky number 3, right? The reason why we're here in Lampasas is because this is where our annual hunt takes place. Last year, we introduced the annual hunt into the grant package. And the 4J Ranch is about 15 minutes down the road. It's a 2,300 acre low fence ranch. And Chris is the guide during that hunt. We host our recipient here at Chris and his wife's place. They have an Airbnb, a little cottage. And we host them here. They're here for 4 days. We hunt for 2.5, 3 days, depending upon the need to fill a tag. While the recipient is here hunting with Chris on the 4J Ranch, it's one-on-one guide, and the recipient is the only individual hunting on the ranch during that time, period. And
the first individual of the season to hunt on the ranch.
And the first hunter for the deer season. And we're experiencing some serious winds today. So the other great part about it is it's an all-inclusive hunting package. So our recipient not only receives a archery and outdoor package that is full of industry-leading equipment. They come on the hunt. Their airfare is paid for. Their luggage, their parking, their hunting license and tags, their lodging, their food, transportation from Austin Airport to the ranch and back, the one-on-one guide time. They have meat processing is donated with shipping of the meat and a full shoulder mount and or a Euro mount, depending upon what the recipient requests, and shipping of that trophy as well. So that's what we did this year, and we're doing that again. For our 3rd year. The Gas Bowstring team has added a second big event for our annual recipient going into the future. So added to the grant this year, we are sending our recipient all inclusive to Kentucky to the Gas Bowstring facility. That is where the recipient will help Gas build out their bow. They get to watch, be a little bit hands-on, watch that entire process. And then Eric and the Gas team will provide the recipient with one-on-one professional level archery coaching for 1.5 to 2 days. Again, that's all inclusive. This is what we now get to provide the A3G Initiative recipient in 2024 and in the unforeseen future. So how does this process work, Chris?
January 1st each year we open up the application window. They can apply themselves if they're a nominee, or they can be nominated.
Correct.
By somebody. I had a lot of people ask, and a lot of people assume you have to be a veteran, since we're both veterans. That is not the case. All you have to do is be missing a limb.
Correct.
You don't have to be a veteran. You don't have to be military, law enforcement, first responder. You just have to be missing a limb. And the goal is to help them overcome obstacles through archery. And so people put in the application online, and the board reviews them after it closes on April 15th. And then we independently rank our top 3 choices, and majority rules, and whoever is the prevailing nominee is the one that is the lucky winner for the year.
Those are all facts. Now here was the cool part for this year. We had a recipient that was majority vote. On our application, we have a crossbow listed. The focus of the A3G, as Chris stated, is we want to overcome obstacles through archery. And that is the foundation of Limitless Outdoors, and it's why I started this grant. My goal is to put a compound bow in the hands of an amputee, provide them the tools and the training and the motivation to overcome some mental and physical obstacles to improve their life through the sport of archery. But we do have a crossbow on the application, but it is there in the chance that we have a bilateral upper limb amputee that requires a crossbow. And through the input and advice from a very active double limb amputee that hunts independently with a particular brand of crossbow, we do have that company at our disposal. But our vision, our focus is to help our recipients overcome their obstacles. So when we went through our voting process, our majority vote for this year was a young man that when he submitted his application, he said that he had tried archery earlier in his life, and he struggled with it and it was not successful. He did not enjoy it, and that he wanted to hunt with a crossbow. Well, I had the pleasure of calling that individual, and we had a very good conversation, but the conversation was focused around this fact, that this individual is missing both of his legs. He has both of his arms, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about that individual here in just a minute when we formally introduce him. He is watching this video, by the way. He's been chomping at the bit since I called him a little over a week ago. Probably not. Well, didn't help that we called him and kept him up a little bit last night. But we had a conversation on the phone, and I told him that because his amputations were lower limb, although he does have a single hand deformity, but he's focused on overcoming and living without boundaries himself. So through that conversation that we had, I told him that if we were going to select him and that if he was going to be a part of the A3G initiative, that he was going to have to trust us and the tools and the connections that we have in the archery industry, and that we would help ensure that he's successful with a compound bow in his future and his hunting endeavors. And this individual, through our conversation, at first he was a little bit reluctant. He said, "Aaron, I trust you. I'm excited. I want to start this journey with you." So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, for 2024, wow, I get choked up every time I do this. This is the third year in a row and I start getting choked up. So Dustin Pruett, you are the recipient for 2024. We're super excited. Dustin is a 24-year-old young man out of Indiana. He was born with a disability. That disability was both of his lower limbs were deformed, and he had a webbing deformity in his right hand. And the left foot was clubbed foot. The right foot was deformed, pretty severe. And so they did multiple surgeries on his right foot. And as an infant toddler, they amputated his right foot. And they did some surgeries on his hand and his left foot so that he could ambulate and that he could function through life. And Dustin fought some battles with that as he grew. He was in the Shriners program, and his father is a 25-year volunteer fireman for the city they live in Indiana. And Dustin has been born and raised around that community, has always dreamed of being a firefighter, and through his processes with his disabilities and what took place with his clubbed foot, he opted to have the left foot amputated. He does have some strength and some fine motor skill issues with his right hand, but he overcame those obstacles, played sports in high school. His favorite sport was wrestling. He went to college and got his fire science degree, and he is now a volunteer firefighter with his father in their department. He is a substitute teacher. He climbs fire towers to raise awareness for amputees and Shriners, and to show people with disabilities that they can overcome their obstacles. He is also a troop leader for Trail Life USA, Chris?
Trail Life.
For Trail Life USA. So Chris and I are both very faithful men. We believe in Jesus Christ, and our board of directors is made up of faithful people. And Trail Life USA is a Christian version of Boy Scouts, and their mission is to introduce young men and young adults into the outdoors and overcome obstacles, teach them life skills, and lead them to a closer relationship with God, which we just think is fantastic. And to have Dustin as our recipient this year is powerful. And I know that last year, if you watched any of the footage, the videos, of some of our social media posts about the 2023 event and our recipient from last year and what took place out here on the ranch and down in the cottage, and we did a podcast, and we fellowshipped, and we had a banquet, and we spent time on the ranch. And when we recovered our recipient's deer last year, which was a once-in-a-lifetime deer for Chris Norton, I use the word powerful a lot. And as we watch this nonprofit grow, as we watch it expand, more and more people want to become involved with this grant, and our applicant pool is getting deeper. And to have an individual like Dustin, who is trying to live his life overcoming the obstacles that have been placed in front of him since birth. Some of us get to live our lives up to a certain age before we're hit with amputations. Dustin was born with it, and he spent his entire life learning to overcome that. The word powerful becomes more and more evident to me. Chris.
What's more powerful, though, is now, since he's graduated out of the Shriners program after he turned 18, he goes back and he mentors those young boys and girls that were in his same shoes and helps them through that time.
It's fantastic. So, really quick, I want to thank some of our major sponsors that we have. One of the reasons why we're down here is Defiant Ranch Racing. They're in Austin right now on the opening race of their circuit. They hosted us in the pits, and we were able to have our banner down in the racetrack and advertise for some of our sponsors and promote A3G. And we're here making the announcement. We wanted to actually do it on the ranch today, but we've had winds between 15 and 20 mile per hour today. We had tornado warnings last night. We tried to turkey hunt in it this morning, and we were unsuccessful. We had a great time though, had a beautiful setup, and we've been on the, no pun intended, we've been on the gas to share this announcement with all of you this afternoon. Dustin Pruett, thank you very much for taking the time for applying for this year's grant, the 2024 A3G Initiative, and we are really excited to host you through the events this year. And thank you everyone for listening in. Be limitless.